Greetings and salutations. Are we ready? I can't do the rock. Well, today we're going to have one of the people that actually was there for searching for summer. Did the reward fund, started the petition for against Ronnie Lawson. And him and I were talking, and I asked him this morning because I knew I was going to forget. There's something he told me on Messenger. Oh, first off, if you guys want to share this, go for broke. I don't care. And I asked him this morning to make sure you asked him to talk about it. Because it backs up with the little birdie the other side that he told me. So, without further ado, hey,
Hey, brother. How are you?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you, Matt?
Well, we're ready to roast this. I'm going to put it my way. We're ready to roast this pig. And I don't mean that in the way I'm thinking of the four-legged animal. To get that cleared up.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. I'm about to put through my bifocals to see you, though. That's what happens when you get my age. You're still a kid. So what made you start the reward fund? I'm curious.
So it was about a few days or a week into her disappearance. And as we talked about, I'm one county over from Hawkins. And I never was able to really find out what it was, but something just caught my eye with this case. And it was close to my heart from the beginning. And I knew something was off. And of course, not even going to act like I knew half what was going to happen, but I knew that something was wrong. And I knew that money, unfortunately, the way it is in our society, money talks. So I felt like I needed to put money forward to help bring about answers, at least hopefully.
And what's your opinion on this whole fiasco that's happened with it all going to court? I've called up there. They sent me to an attorney and got an attitude from them. They won't tell anybody out anything. What's going on? Did they return your money?
No, they haven't done anything. I've spoken to Tim Coop's lawyer. I've spoken to the court. I mean, the most I get is they're still waiting on filing a few new filings, and then they'll give the 4-week notice for any donors to come forward, and then they'll have the hearings to decide what they're doing with the money.
Typical Hawkins County.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to try to sweep it under the rug, so you hope everybody forgets, and then put the money in the general account. I'm not nice to Hawkins County, and that's not going to happen. Now, remember what I asked you on Messenger, because I knew I was going to forget, to talk about when you were about the wells?
Yeah, so early on in the case, I had offered them help, brought them flyers, my information, my number, had the local deputy at the I had it given to Dawn from the command post when I got there. And while I wasn't looking for any kind of appreciation, anything from them, I honestly just wanted to help them. And at that point, nobody really suspected them. It was very early on. I was like, to the point of if they needed anything, I mean, meals, food, I mean, whatever it was, I just wanted to, I mean, this was a crazy thing going on in our community and wanted to help. And they passed up on that offer. And then soon later, as we all saw them, they were on a myriad of YouTube channels going crazy about everything else but their missing daughter.
What was your impression on him? Because when I talked to that birdie, he told me that Candace was sitting on the porch, higher than a kite. This is his exact words. Higher than a kite, more worried about smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, I've never got the impression that they've cared. I mean, since the beginning, either of them, or any of the three. I mean, I'd say, but either of the two of them, I've never caught that they've cared at all.
That's just, I don't know. Personally, I can't, and I've said this on videos. I've got kids. I don't know how a woman can carry a baby in her stomach for 9 months and pull this crap. It just,
right.
I still can't figure it out, and I don't want to try to figure it out.
No.
So what haven't you tried to do in this case? Because it seems like you've been trying everything, from what I understand.
Well, I've been trying to come at it from every corner, especially with how much time passes. I mean, there's just not. You get to a point where there's not. I mean, what are the options? I mean, I've searched. I put that money, and I mean, plenty of other people have. Not even leading on the fact that it's only been me. I mean, there's a whole army behind her, and we've all put so much time and effort into this, and to see it just stalled like this, I mean, it feels like you hit a wall. What do you do?
The only we can do right now is keep her name out there and put on the pressure and Ronnie Lawson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Because
especially with this recent news. Have to.
and my wife was watching Benny to this earlier, probably a couple hours ago. And if what he put on his video is true, Ronnie Lawson does not need to just step down. He needs to put his hands behind his back and get ready to go over and Silver Droid and join his kid out in Granger County.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's just, I don't even have the words. Because he got his kid a sweet deal.
Nothing surprises me there anymore. Nothing surprises me there anymore, unfortunately.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how old you are. I don't know. We barely even talk about this, but 8 to 30 years per count. Look up the Tennessee statutes. I've got on the community page. I did the math. That's what, 32 to 120 years.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get 1 year? I don't get it. The Class B felony.
Exactly. And I was talking to somebody recently about this. It's like if he got caught doing, I mean, stealing something very small and victimless, and his dad got him a little reduced sentence. I mean, clearly there's corruption there, but I mean, to get him out of something this like vile, and I mean, his son's a predator, and no matter whose son he is, he needs to face the consequences. 20 years is light for the things he did, but that's where it needs to start.
And not to mention the victim. And what I'm just saying what Benny said. So y'all take it with a grain of salt. I don't know. Apparently, it was he did it against Ronnie's own granddaughter. Makes me want to stand over the railing, and yep, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just repulsive.
Yeah, there's no words for it.
No, they escaped me. All I know is I got on YouTube late compared to everybody else. I mean, you got Benny Keys, Michelle Walsh. There's a list of people that have been pushing this case. You and I are probably one of the few locals around here that actually are still pushing it, because it seems like Roger doesn't care.
No, I got that. I got that vibe very early. I mean, as soon as the names went off, the church signs, the little posters, and everything that was up went down. As soon as the media left, a lot of the people suddenly didn't have a care for it. Just moved on.
I talk to people. And one of my favorite places to talk to them. She's 79 years old, I think. Have you ever been to Southside Restaurant up by Cherokee High School?
I'm not sure if I have.
The owner is who I thought was the owner isn't the owner. It's his son, actually. But the owner's grandmother, 79 years old, and oh boy, I would not want to cross her in a heart at all. She's ready to take Candace and Don Bolton. Yep, skin them alive. If you guys got questions for Trevor, now is the time. We'll say that now. You're right, Kitty. Laura, where do we go from here? I've made a comment about doing trying to figure out how to do a massive live somewhere in December. And station rep, if I can con this kid into it, station ourselves right up to the jail.
Mm-hmm. And I see another thing in the chat. I was going to say, that's true. The way that the media, I was talking to somebody else about this too. The media, the way they've been able, the way he has so much in his pocket to not have this talked about, 4 years worth of this stuff, and it comes out the day he gets his 1 year sentence.
Hang on a minute, Trevor. Yeah, my kids and more of them grandkids are done. My wife's like, the kids want to leave. I'm like, go ahead. No, I'd like to do a massive live in December. Like one we did for the memorial. have a massive blowout. I think I've got an idea to do it, but I'm just not sure. I'm not, when it comes to this stuff, I'm no good at it. But I was thinking maybe if everybody connected in a lot different lives, maybe that'd work. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So if anybody's got better ideas than that, please help.
I'm not sure. I just know that we have to keep whatever it is, keep the pressure on. I mean, both for Summer's case and for this, because this plays a big role into, even if people don't see the connection, there definitely is one there.
Oh yeah, this I put up more articles, and I emailed it to Jeff Bobo after you sent me what your conversation with him. I put up more articles from the Times News, WJHL, on the corruption in this county than anything else. So he's telling you there's no corruption. I'd love to know what planet he's on. I really would.
Ronnie Lawson's hip pocket.
Oh, that he's either in Ronnie Lawson's hip pocket, and I'm hoping Ronnie's watching this. I don't care. Or Favors are trading around.
Mm-hmm.
My question is which one?
And he said it himself. He wasn't even ashamed of it in that conversation. In one of the messages that was between he and I that I shared with you, he said, Ronnie came to me the day before the sentencing and let me know how this was going to be. Nobody else knew that. The news found out the minute he was sentenced, but he went to Jeff Bobo a day beforehand.
Yeah. And Jeff is from Illinois, and I can't believe he's even getting involved in this crap.
Yeah, I know.
All I know is I'm trying to push that petition as hard as we can push it.
And I appreciate it. I mean, I got up this morning and we hit over 2,000. It's just got to keep pushing. I mean, the more people, the more pressure we put on. And even if Ronnie wants to hide from it, he can't hide from it once the heat gets hot enough.
Nope. And I said, I'm looking at, I'm using two different phones. I'm looking at now, see what number we're at.
I know before I got on, it was 21-23.
Oh, mine hasn't updated then. But I'd like to see it smash 2,500 before this week. Honestly, before the day's out.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've emailed every paper, TV station around there I can think of. I'm thinking about it.
I've been doing the same, and I think that some of them are hesitant. We just had to find the person that'll have the guts to push it forward, even if it brings a bad light against Lawson, against the sheriff's department. Because I know a lot won't, because they provide them information too. I mean, that's where they get their information on a lot of these cases, and just is where it is.
I got a couple ideas about a couple papers from where I grew up at. I don't know if they'll do anything or not. I'm going to email them and find out. Because one's connected. One of them I know is for fact is connected to USA Paper. So from Connecticut.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, the more it pushes out, like I said, because you're not going to find people besides people in his inner circle that don't see a problem with this, at least to an extent. I mean, you can't look at this situation and not see the corruption. If you don't, you just choose not to. I mean, there's no.
Well, I'm going to drop a bomb for you that I haven't told anybody. And usually I run things by, I call her the kid at the voice behind the wall, and I haven't told her yet. I don't know if you knew this. I got a family member in Hawkins County.
Mm-hmm.
This is how bad this county is. All his crap is literally misdemeanors, all driving garbage. Now, you'd have to go through this community post. They shot the car 10 times. They nailed him 5, trying to kill him. They gave him the screw job from the century. And I texted him today, and I'm going to read you what he wrote. I've been waiting on this one. This is how bad Ronnie's keeping this crap quiet. I'm about out of text, but we haven't heard anything about it. They keep it hush.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Don Wells said, you're not allowed. Nobody's in that jail is allowed to talk about Don Wells. Nobody. So who's in whose hip pocket?
Yeah.
And Don, when he was playing all his games on YouTube, was saying something about I wish the kid was up here in here so I could ask her. Something about he knew something about Ronnie Lawson or something or other. Well, now we know what he knew because his kid was doing this back in 2018 to 2020. Some Ronnie's known for 4 years, or whatever it is. Somebody said something about Don. Oh, Don. Are you going to still try to go up? When was the last time you tried to search for Summers? Anybody even been trying to do it lately?
I've been down there. I mean, I won't probably necessarily talk about where I've searched at, like specifically, but I've definitely been down there.
You know, that birdie was telling me the other day he doesn't think Summers even in the state of Tennessee anymore.
I don't know what to think. I have a few, I have a few different thoughts on that, but I just don't. I don't know.
Well, that both birdies. All right, go ahead.
I was saying I think it'll be, and the way it usually turns out with these is when we find out, it'll be 10 times worse than we could have ever imagined, which is what I worry. No matter where she is, it's gonna be harsh when it comes to light.
I know a lot of people, and you and I both know how many bodies of water are around here. There's a lot of them.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I mean, I know the county you're in. I'm not going to say it, but I'm from Ben Hill. And that's why I was telling that little birdie from Ben Hill. At 20 minutes, you can be in Virginia. Because, like I told you, I do DoorDash, and I used to run Kingsport. I'd go to Virginia all the time.
Yeah.
Right up 20, grab 26 and straight shot. So they could have put her anywhere.
Yeah.
Did you ever get the impression Don knew about what was going on, that he knew what happened when you were up there?
I think so. I partially believe he's involved, but I even think if he's not, I truly believe he knows. I don't think he's in the dark. How much he knows, I'm not sure how much his involvement is, but I don't think he's in the dark. The way he's acted, I don't see it.
I'd like to know what Candace has got on him. Because Candace has got something on him.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion, and I can't shake that feeling.
I think a lot of people in that circle have something on each other. I think
I've never.
What it is.
See, you've got one up on me. I've never been to Ben Hill. Well, I've been to Beach Creek's actually a bigger area than most people think of because it's part of it is in Sigornsville.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to that part, and I know for a fact you can buy whatever you want, and they're all not defending anybody, but they're all drug addicts.
It's rough up there.
I mean, I've seen people, the different YouTubers go up there, and you wouldn't pay me to go up there. I wouldn't trust any of them. Because you like, from what I understand, you're likely to get shot.
Yeah, now the only time I been up there I did a search on private property in Beach Creek, a little ways down from the wells. It was with the private investigator, and I met the homeowner, and it was all done ahead of time. But we went up there and searched some property that hadn't really been looked at much, and yeah, it's parts of that area are rough up there for sure.
I know one thing everybody's asked, and I've seen it all over it. Do you know if they searched all of the Wells property? I mean, I'm sure they have.
Yes.
Well, what I think we need is a dive team to start going out and checking the Sigornsville River for one, because I think that runs into Kingsport.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What is that? I can't think of the words. The body of water feeds everything out here, and it's right in your area.
Not South Holston, right?
Yeah, that's the Holston Dam.
Mm-hmm.
That's where. So how far is it from Ben Hill to any body of water? Since you've been up there?
Not very far. I'd say depending on which way you go, if you go towards, because of course when you leave, you either can go towards Kingsport or back towards Baileytown, Greenville. So going back towards Kingsport, it's not very far at all.
Yeah, because from what I understand, it's only like less than a mile from their house, Sullivan County line.
If that, it's very close to the line. Anytime I'd go down there, I'd pass the line before maybe the last curve or two before their road and the command center.
So that's making me. That's why I can't buy so long. They can put her anywhere.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they end up putting her in some kind of water.
I think wherever they put her, they're confident that the way they've acted, I think they're confident she won't be found. They're banking on that fact. I don't know what that exactly means, but the way they've acted, they have never been shy to go on camera and act stupid and do whatever else they've done. I think if they were really worried they'd get caught, they'd have been silent. So I think, at least in their minds, whatever we want to take that for, they're confident that she won't be found.
Oh, they're beyond confident. I don't know how much of YouTube you watch with them being on there, but they played every game in the book. Literally, they played them all. So they're beyond confident. Maybe that'll end up tripping them up. Do you think the law enforcement's had you've been using I call them kit gloves with them? Baby gloves?
Say that again. Sorry, I cut out.
Do you think law enforcement has been using, I call it kid, I don't know if it's called kit gloves or kid gloves.
I don't know.
In other words, you've been babying them all the way around.
I think to a point, at least TBI has a plan behind what they're doing. I'm not sure how much I trust Hawkins County with Lawson behind it, but I think that with how loud and proud they've been, the wells have been on YouTube and online, I think they leave any kind of details out and let them run themselves into a hole and then jump on it. I think they're missing some details that they're hoping the wells will spill when they go high drunk on a live and say whatever, whenever, wherever.
Well, we do have somebody in here. It's actually mind-blowing. Benny Keys came in here and he wants to put up billboards all over Rogersville, or at least one up here in Rogersville about Ronnie Lawson and his kid. What do you think of that one?
I wouldn't be opposed if he had to drive into work and see that every day.
Well, I know 3 billboards, and when I was up before I guess I drove by one, and I don't know how I ever missed this stupid thing. It's right next to my doctor's office up the hill, right next to Eastman Bank. Perfect spot. I mean, it's a perfect spot because Hawkins County goes up and down every day.
Yeah.
Because it's like where my personal opinion is like Hawkins County isn't trying to do anything. They're really not. They got their 5 minutes of fame. And I was like, they don't even care anymore.
And I'm really curious now how much Lawson kept the TBI away from knowing what he was hiding. Because if they got too close, if they got too close, they'd find it.
All right, so you went there. I was wondering. I've been like this about that going there. Ronnie Lawson's kept more from TBI than the TBI is going to know. I'll bank a penny on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's the one that's in charge of this investigation. So, thanks, Kimbo. So he's the one that feeds TBI the info.
Mm-hmm.
And if he doesn't want something said, see, I've got a neighbor that he's what do you call it, associate pastor in Orangeville. And him and I have had a couple of talks about this. Ronnie Lawson's people on Ronnie Lawson are literally afraid of him. So everybody's going to do what Lawson says, and now it's showing how well Ronnie is connected. I mean, if he had to create some kind of deal with Dan Armstrong, he could just get out of a 1-year sentence.
Mm-hmm.
There's something's crooked somewhere in Denmark. I'm too old to worry about being politically correct anymore. And all the thing, Ronnie's going to end up getting ticked off about all this. I know that.
Oh well.
I've seen Ronnie face to face. I couldn't care less.
He's yet to here's the thing is he knew what was coming when it happened with his son when he did that. And he could have come out that Monday, made a public statement, even if we didn't buy it, come out and make it. Instead, he shut down his website link, shut down their Facebook, and went silent. So he brought this for himself. He wanted to hide from it.
I only found out, and I've got had Hawkins County my own Facebook, and I didn't even know about it until one of my Mild Smiley stories was put up. I'm like, what? No way. And I owe her an apology sooner or later. I'll get to that. Because I'm like, no, they're not going to shut down the Facebook. I go look, like, where the heck? The whole thing's gone. That
funny story that morning. I had Monday morning.
Yeah.
I had pulled up their page, or I tried to pull up their page, not even knowing, because the news hadn't broke about his son yet. So I was just looking at their page to look up some old things about Summer's case, just kind of looking back through, brainstorming, whatever. And I tried to pull it up, and there was no page, and it was before all the news came out, so I had no idea what was going on. I asked a couple people to look, and the page was completely down. And I was like, I wonder if they got too many messages about Summer and got upset. And then as soon as that news broke, I was like, well, there's your answer.
I had found out about this whole thing with Ronnie's kid on Facebook, and I put it up on a community page because I found some pictures, and I thought, and I honestly knew it was him, but I just want to play along with it. But I couldn't believe it. And Ronnie, like you said, Ronnie should have made some kind of an announcement beforehand to get proactive. Not that anybody's going to buy it, because honestly, nobody's going to buy it. But he didn't even do that. He just thought everything was going to get swept under the rug. I don't think he was banking on it. JHL and the one in Knoxville and WCYB picking up on this. You do know we've got this case. Ronnie doesn't understand this case is literally global. Right? Yeah. There's no other way. That's literally what it is. I've got comments from pick a country. The only one I haven't heard from yet is Bahrain. I'm waiting. No, I've got a personal reason about Bahrain. My son was in the Navy. He was over there twice. But the UK, Australia, New Zealand. It's like, Ronnie, pick a country. This case is global, and you're just sitting on your ass and your hands under your ass.
Yeah, he thinks that because it's a small county, he can just hide from it. But I had a conversation with an FBI agent the other day about this case, and there's already been a report filed. So he can't only hide for so long. I drove trucks. You have to deal the way I do things. Put this rig in reverse. Run that by me one more time. I mean, I heard you, but what? I had a conversation with an FBI agent the other day, and the report's been filed.
On Ronnie Lawson?
Yeah, about Ronnie Lawson and his doings with Brenda.
Whoa. Well, you just dropped the bomb of the century. I think I'm switching from water to my coffee. What did the FBI agent say? Anything?
They filed it. They wouldn't comment on it much. Since my report was the first they've heard of it, they didn't have any, they don't want to make any comments on it then, which makes sense because I could have, just been talking about anything at that point. But they filed it and sent it to the local field office here, which the local field office is Knoxville, but they have satellite offices in Johnson City. So that'll probably be the closest.
Do me a favor, after we're done, have you got an email or anything like that? Phone?
Yeah.
Send it to me.
Okay.
Maybe they need to get enlightened about a few facts. Because there's no way in hell you're getting a 1-year sentence. You've got judges who want to go to commit crimes and they get a slap on the wrist. So something doesn't jive in Denmark. I don't know how much you know about who all's been convicted in this county, but it's, for me, Ronnie Lawson's kid was the icing, the cherry on the cake.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had Judge Taylor got nailed, water commissioners getting nailed. Pick one, it's everybody. And they get light sentences.
Yep. Because that whole circle, nobody is clean. They can't be, or you would have somebody be able to speak out and say, "This is going on. Take them all out of here." Ronnie's got something on Armstrong. Armstrong's got something on Ronnie. They've both got something on. I mean, it's just the whole bunch.
The only one I can say that I've seen that's honest is actually Todd Ross. From what I've seen so far, that's the only one I've seen that's honest. I mean, earlier this year we had bailed somebody out, and I was in the courtroom to make sure that she was in there because I'm not losing money. And I was watching Ronnie walk around and puffed up peacock, doesn't even call it right. He was walking around like he owned the whole damn place. I am not even kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can see why, because he's got something on everybody in that book, flipping place.
He's got to.
He has to. Because the judge, what do you call them? The unpaid attorneys, what do you call them? I can't think. Public defenders.
Mm-hmm.
They act more afraid of it being in a courtroom than anything else.
Yeah.
This corruption's got to break.
Well, I think it's made its match after what they've done now, and being involved in Summer's case, people won't let it go quiet.
Oh, I've got a couple ideas I'm not going to put up on here. I'll tell you. I can tell you after.
Certainly.
This is turning into a chess match. I don't know if you know how to play chess or not. Do you know how to play chess?
To an extent.
My father, love the man to death, but don't ever play chess with that man. We can make a move. I can make a move right now. Give it about 3 years, I might make a move. And that's all this whole thing is turning into is a massive chess match. So I got an idea. I'm going to see if I can list a couple people. And I know one of them, I can almost guarantee he's in this chat room. I'm almost willing to bet. Won't take much arm twisting. We'll see about getting Ronnie right out of here and maybe get him in jail. He'll spend the 70. What is Ronnie, 70? 71, something like that?
Something like that.
Because I was trying to figure out, until I started telling you, I was trying to figure out how old this kid is. Because I remember in 2012, he was in that boating accident.
Mm-hmm.
Did you even know about that?
Yeah, the boating accident at the lake. I heard about that.
He was, I think 29 or 30, something like that. So I was trying to do the math. Then all of a sudden, Jeff Boba says, "Oh, Brendan's 43." Uh-huh.
Yeah, because that was his whole thing. Is he's 43. His dad doesn't need to pay for his sins. Blah blah blah.
You know, I'll be honest for once. Very rarely will I actually say my age. I'm 54. I'll be 55 in a few months. I'm still accountable to my kids. My eldest is 32. My youngest son just walked out. He's 20, 28. Hard for me to remember my kids' age at the time. There's too many of them. But we're still. I mean, I've got to know somebody who's 71 or 2, and he's still responsible for his kids. Yeah. And his kids are in their 40s. That's just part of being a parent. I can understand Ronnie trying to get in somewhat of an easier deal for his kid, but this is beyond my comprehension.
And I can understand it if he was just another citizen, like he trying to hire or get an attorney for his son, or there's other ways that, I mean, trying to help him out, whatever way he can. But when you have that power, you can't do that, because it goes from being a helpful father to being a corrupt sheriff.
Yeah, he crossed the line. Now, I don't know if you can read the chat or not, but I'm going to. Tennessee Blonde is asking you, do you think Jody Sue knows something or is even involved?
I think with Jody Sue, she saw an opportunity. She saw this case was, I mean, it's been said since the beginning, outside the norm. She saw that she could insert herself, and she did perfectly with her goal. She met her goal. Everybody talks about her, and I don't mean that against a person of color that or anybody else, but I know that people watch her. She'll listen to anything she says, even if you can understand her. I mean, I don't think she has actual involvement. I think she's put her name in this pond and realized she's caught bigger fish than she could at first. So she's going to keep going with it.
When you were up there, how high is a kite with the wells? I'm sure Donnie was probably drunk. How high was Candace though?
I'm not sure. I didn't get much time up there. It was mostly spent at the command post because Ben Hill was very much blocked off. Because, of course, when they interacted with law enforcement, they were more presentable. I mean, however you want to categorize, presentable.
I know when I talked to that, and you know what I'm talking about when I say Birdie. Hell, everybody does.
Mm-hmm.
He said she was high as a kite, and she didn't seem like she cared. And that's rattled my cage.
I
And
mean,
you're
just
only,
from the beginning, Don was talking about the resurrection. I'll see her in the resurrection. What was it, a weekend?
yeah, I forgot all about that.
I mean, that blew my mind. I don't know how that didn't. I mean, people now look back at it more, but I mean, that should have been like a flashing sign. Like, that's a problem.
See, I was in Rhode Island over the summer seeing my in-laws, and I talked to a captain of Rhode Island's got a East Providence, North Providence. I don't even remember which side of Providence this guy was on.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling him about this, because if you remember, Ronnie Lawson had on his Facebook page about Summer Wells trying to get himself reelected. Not that anybody's running against me, anyways.
Yeah.
And I talked to that captain, and I'll tell you what, if that guy could have gotten down here, oh, we would have had a mess. Because that is, you can go up to any. I don't know if you're actually from here or not. I'm not. But if you go into any big city or anything, even Kingsport would do a better job than this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm originally from Dallas, so I'm from the big city, but I've lived here in Nowheresville for most of my life.
I've been to Dallas. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
I like it here. That's all I'll say.
Me too. I'm from Connecticut, and I don't like that either. But where you're from, where I'm from, you can look up Norwich, Connecticut. It's not that big of an area. But they do more. For one, you would have there wouldn't be this crap TBI every once in a blue moon coming out saying, "Oh, we're doing a press conference." They would have kept everybody informed.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everything's getting swept on, and I can't but wonder. What's your opinion is that they're just going to keep this swept under the carpet so everybody forgets?
I think that's their goal. I don't think that can happen. I think that they'll try that, at least from Hawkins County's level, but it's not a case that people will forget about or can forget about. I mean, I can. This
I
this
won't.
case is one that will stick in my mind until, I mean, forever.
You're what, only in your early 20s, I take it?
Yeah, I'll be 21 in December.
Okay, well, you're younger than my youngest. Oh, thanks, just made me feel old. I, it's going to resonate with you for the rest of your life. I'm not. My wife and I talk about it all the time. I mean, she's right in the house. We talk about it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got people all over YouTube that's it's not going to get forgotten about. I mean, you look at some of these people have got well 90,000, 100,000, 80,000 followers.
Mm-hmm.
So Ronnie's thinking this is going to get forgotten about. I think and that's one thing that bothers me is he's always saying social media isn't helping. I don't know if you caught that from him or not.
Yeah, he definitely did.
Social media has done more for this case than he ever thought of doing.
Yeah.
He needs to stop trying to block everybody on social media and ask her to help. Because I've said this for a while. Now you're 20 years old, but 9 times out of 10, people like Fred Hill, because his name keeps popping up, they'll talk to you, Joe Schmo off the street, but they're not going to talk to a cop. They're just not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the cops, well, they know what cops can do. And in this county, I've been hearing rumors about. Have you heard the rumor about this? That Ronnie's getting kickbacks from big drug dealers around here.
I've heard things I'll say along those lines, but not to that extent. But again, like I said in the beginning, nothing surprises me at this point because I think there's a lot of dirt that people have on each other there.
I've heard that same rumor more times than I want to think about. But there's no way to prove it or disprove it.
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I'll say that. Not after this mess.
Not at all.
I'm trying to scroll, keep an eye on the comments, and I'm not doing very well.
Let's see. I'll scroll through too. I've got it pulled up.
Jedi, I've heard that more than once. As long as you don't use the one actor that they say I look like. I just can't. I don't like the dude. Like I said, if you guys got a question for Trevor, now is definitely the time to ask, because he does not have YouTube. And I've got a couple ideas I'm going to run by him off air, whatever you call it, along with a couple other people. Because I've said this before, and I know as a Christian you shouldn't say it, probably shouldn't say this, but when hell freezes over, that's when I'm going to stop. Because it's not going to happen.
Yep. When pigs fly, we'll call it that.
That's better yet than mine. I will gladly stand corrected. But when pigs start flying, that's when we'll give up. And I've never seen a pig fly.
Nope, I don't expect to in my lifetime. So.
Because it's been almost 17 months this little girl's disappeared. And Don's got a criminal record from here to wherever.
Mm-hmm.
And I never said this because I don't want it to sound like I'm being judgmental or anything like that. But most career criminals are smart. They think they're smarter than cops.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, you watch. I don't know if you've ever seen the TV show Cops, or where they follow real life cops around. They've even said that.
And see, that's a big thing too. People need to see is like, I see a lot of people talk about how the Wells aren't smart at all. How are they outsmarting the police? And it's also like there's a few, I say, definitions of smart. Like the way we think of smart, like regular common sense, book smart. They don't have necessarily that kind of smarts, but with how long they've spent committing crimes, they've got in their way smart. You can be a smart criminal and be a stupid person in the way that they know the system, they know the runaround, they know what they're doing.
The one thing that Birdie told me, and I haven't been able to shake it, is one family, two people missing, one person's a common denominator.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Don said that Grandis was smarter than all three of them. Well, I remember that's who he was talking about. And somebody asked if they'd done a search of cadaver dogs. And I'm not going to pronounce this person's name right. I'm not even going to try. Skilo? Trevor, how confident are you that they're not remains on 110 Ben Hill or 125 Ben Hill?
I don't think there's anything on 110 because of the fact that they all, I mean, I'll backtrack. Don went to jail, but I know the other two were off the hill for at least a good amount of time, and I don't think you leave that. I think they'd be too paranoid to leave their evidence like that.
My wife and I are talking about this, and I just remembered it. We were talking about this a while ago that they put Summer somewhere, and if you remember right, Grandis took off when Illinois, Wisconsin, or somewhere last year. So she could have actually taken her off somewhere. So literally, the search area can go from here to Wisconsin. I'm not saying that's the case, but it's hypothetically possible. Do you know they brought in cadaver dogs to search yet?
Yeah, I know at the property they did and nearby.
I've said all along, I don't honestly think she was on the property very long.
I'm not even sure when she was last on the property, to be
That's
honest.
gonna
Like,
quit. Uh,
I know that the big question, and I mean, it's been the big question, but it's the timeline. Because even if you look, one thing that's always caught my eyes, TBI's frequently asked question sheet they did, after the 1 year mark, they released all those questions people were asking a lot. And they asked about where was the house search, was this search X, Y, and Z. But on the portion of the timeline, they said her mother says she last saw her the afternoon of June 15th at that house. But they don't say that anytime the time they last saw her, but also they add at the end, they won't be releasing anything else about the timeline due to the integrity of the investigation, which they didn't put that in any other section. So I think they're really honed in on that. And I don't believe that she necessarily even made it back home.
I've wondered that all along because we know they were at that water hole in Kingsport, like Warriors Pass.
Mm-hmm.
No, I remember something about the 15-year-old kid. I can't remember his name. He said she went in the water for a few seconds.
Yeah.
And that was the first time in all my years that I'd ever heard of dry drowning.
Mm-hmm.
I had to look it up because it's like, what the heck is that?
Yeah.
And then he'd end up disappearing and going to some, depends which story you want to believe, but he was away from his mom. I know that.
Yeah.
I makes you wonder if she actually, part of me wonders if she didn't make it back to the help.
Yeah. I see a question here about Lawson's thing. It says, now that Lawson's son's story is out, do you think we'll finally hear anything? And I think if this case is taken where it should be, which would be Lawson at the least removed from office, if not charged, and all the corruption is found and new people take over this case, then I think a new approach with people that are clean could result in new answers. But if this just becomes a big media spectacle and doesn't result in any changes in the department, then I think we're stuck at square one.
Until we can get rid of Lawson, nothing's going to change. Sad to say, but
Agreed.
that's my own feeling.
I agree.
Because Ron, as Trevor, you guys heard Trevor, you weren't here long enough, and him and I think a lot of us are all on the same page. Ronnie's got something on all the major players in his judicial branch. Ronnie's got something on. The question is what? I mean, you don't get a 1-year deal in Granger. In Granger County, it's a freaking little rinky-dink thing. Don't blink it. It just went through it. Have you ever been out there?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's tiny. I mean, there's nothing.
Jump the 4 lane, you go right through B Station and back, you're literally about a minute and a half, you're right back out of it.
Yeah.
Like, really? Go up 25 and 10 minutes later, you're back into, what is it, Tazewell County or whatever Tazewell is in. But he got his kid put out there, and my wife and I were looking like, we didn't even know there was a jail out there.
Yeah. I didn't know anything about it until they posted his release that he was put in Hawkins, then moved to Granger and all that mess.
Yeah, 17 minutes in Hawkins County Jail. Can we say flew through?
And run by the sheriff next door to his dad, who he could easily have dirt on, and if not, at least is friends with. I mean, you're not putting him somewhere random. He knows this guy.
Wow.
I've always wondered how much things would be different if she went missing in Sullivan County, because if you look at, and I don't mean to change cases, but Evelyn's case in Sullivan County, the sheriff Jeff Cassidy, who I've personally met, and I think he's a wonderful sheriff, he put her away as soon as he could for charges even unrelated to her daughter, and then pressed forward and got her in jail for her daughter. And I think if he was,
I want him in Hawkins County. I've read about him. I want him out here.
He's fantastic.
Yeah, well, he needs to come out here and take over Ronnie's job. You guys can have somebody else.
As long as you don't give us Lawson.
No, I want him in silver jewelry.
But But yeah, I think Cassidy would have put them away at least for abuse and neglect.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's something. And then you get the ball rolling. At least, I mean, they're culpable for something. There's people have different theories on their involvement, but you can't tell me. You could look at their lifestyle and look at the way they've acted and look at the way those kids were raised, and they're not liable for at least neglect, abuse, anything along those lines.
To be honest, I don't know if you ever watched Chris McDonough's video when he first went up there
Yeah.
and I showed that house. My opinion, give me a freaking bulldozer. I'm going to show you what to do with that dump. I'll bulldoze
Mm-hmm.
that stuff. I wouldn't.
And,
There's no way you let a
and I
kid
imagine
that.
4
Pigs look
kids
better
being
than
raised
that.
there. Yeah.
Farm animals look better than that. There's no way in hell a kid should be raising that.
Nope.
That's just. I'd just bulldoze the damn place and be done with it. Start from scratch. But you have to get Candace to start trying to keep it clean.
Yeah.
Something tells me that ain't going to happen. And from what I'm hearing of now, she's back up on that hill.
That's what I've heard as well.
So I figure Sparks are going to fly here in about a week and a half or so.
Oh yeah, when he gets out, he won't be. There's no way. I don't think he'll be quiet. He'll be advised to be quiet, probably, but he won't.
I'm on bet he's going to contact 1 or 2 people, and one unless I knew was in this chat. And then the other one might be. I don't know. But I figure he's going to contact 1 or 2 people.
Well, they'll be lined up for him.
I've emailed his box. I just want, because I'll put him right to the spot, and he ain't gonna like the way I do it either. He'll see a side of me that nobody's gonna like, because I'll call his bullshit straight out. He knows what he did. You know what the heck happened to your daughter. It's time to start talking. Cut the BS crap.
And all the changing stories. I mean, the truth doesn't have differences in it. You have one truth, but you can have infinity lies and infinite lies, and I think we're at the latter.
That's the thing is, they've never told, and I've said this day one, and I've even done a video on it. If everybody that Don and Candace will talk to got together and actually compared notes, you're going to figure more out than you realize. Because behind every lie, they've got a little bit of truth in it.
Yep.
So Don's not as smart as he thinks he is. He just likes playing with people. Cotton Candy 65 said there will be arrests very soon, in my opinion. One can only wish and hope. Because Utah doesn't look like they're going to do much.
If you don't mind, real quick, I was just gonna go ahead and say, for anybody in here that uses Facebook or that wants to keep following this case, I know a lot of the groups and a lot of pages have died down, but there's a group that I'm a huge part of that's Summer Wells Vanished in Tennessee, and it's the largest group online for Summer Wells, and we continue. I post anything that I do, I post in there. Anything that anybody else does, there's always updates, and I mean, there's very few updates, but there's always updates, discussions, and such in there. And I encourage anybody who wants to keep following the case to head over there.
If you can, put that in the chat, and one of the mods can figure out how to pin it, or I don't know what they do. Y'all like the way I do things. Well, I'm going to tell you straight up. You like that? Fine. That's cool and great. But we are not giving up on this kid until, as Trevor said, pigs fly. And pigs ain't going to fly.
Nope.
Because these people know the answers. And I personally am starting to wonder if Ronnie Lawson knows more than he's letting on to. Because Don said he knew stuff, and now I'm wondering how much he knew about this. Oh, there she is. Oh, hang on a minute, people. Summer Wells vanished in Tennessee. When we get off here, everybody go join it. Trevor just sent me a picture and I'll put it on the community thing. So you know what you're looking for. Because we are not going to give up on this little girl. Not as he said, until pigs fly.
Yep. Not until then. I've always said since this case started, I said, I'll give up on this case when my last breath comes, whenever that time is. Hopefully it's a while because I haven't been here long, but whenever that time comes is when I'll give up. But until then, we're fighting.
And that's why I pinned the your petition on this thing. Because I want to blow that 2,500 out and I want to go for 10,000.
Absolutely. I mean, we're going to get it up there, and he's going to realize soon that he can't hide in his office in there when this hits. I mean, like you said, it already hit globally, but when we hit those numbers that show that it's hitting everywhere, he's either have to take action himself or he'll get pressured into it. I mean, it's coming.
Well, his worst nemesis that likes to call him, and I'm going to put her on the spot, and she's in this chat room. I call her the kid or channel as voices behind the wall. She's known to call Ronnie, but Benny Keys has called Ronnie. Benny was my wife was watching a video with Benny about Benny saying he was calling your area. Trying to figure out how he got such a sweetheart deal for his kid. So he's hiding. He's not just hiding. He's built that like a fortress. He's using his office like a fortress to keep himself insulated and protected. And now we got to figure out how to tear it down.
Yep. To the person asking about searches, definitely. I don't go every week, but every few weekends, especially when the weather allows, I go out and search different areas, mostly public. I mean, all public land, but mostly public places near places they've been on that day or have said to have been that day. But yes, I'll definitely be searching more. I continue to go out, and I will continue to, because like we said, we'll never give up unless I get out there and pigs are flying and hell's frozen over out there on the creek. Then I'll stop. But if that's not happening, I'm gonna still be out there.
We need more flyers out because there's only 2 or 3 left hanging up around here. Southside Restaurant, Save a Lot.
Taken down.
Oh, Dollar Tree. That was the other one.
Mine were taken down. The ones I put up.
You and I need. I don't even know where. I got to figure out where I can get some.
I've got to have more of mine printed because when I put up the reward, I had pictures of her printed, and I just put my name so I could attach that there was a reward with it. And before the big reward was put up as a county, but I put them up places, and places I've gone by where they're gone. So I'll have to get more printed and get back out there with them.
I may have to get one put in my back window of my car. I'm all over this damn town.
I do the same thing. I took them down because I went to the car wash the other day, but I always keep 2 on the back windshield of my car.
I never gave that a thought until just now.
Whenever I get more, I can definitely let you know, and we can
get
you
we'll
some
meet
of
up.
these that I have for sure.
Because I guarantee you and I are only not even a half-hour drive from each other.
No.
That's the way I've been known to drive. I'd like to put some up. I remember, I think it was last year, there was a bunch of YouTubers putting them up downtown, and they didn't last long. Everybody just takes them right back down.
No, most of them haven't. The one I put down at one of the parks connected to where they were, connected to Warriors Path, it was taken down, and then the place where the flyer was all spray painted over when I got back.
I wish we could get another billboard put up, and because the last one we had was up down on 66 going towards Cherokee High School.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, I got removed and some other crap was put up. But I don't know how much billboards cost or anything like that. And we've had that billboard.
Would do it.
Huh?
I wish the state would do it when they put up Amber Alerts. I wish they would put towards. I wish there was a fund they could put towards stuff like this, where they could put up billboards too, because they have all the information about it. I mean, we all have the equal information that they release, but they have what they know to be accurate information, and all it would take is a call up to whatever city or county, or I mean whatever billboard, whoever's leasing the billboard out, and put it up.
I'm going to put you on the spot here a minute. Running lawsuits against social media. What's your opinion about social media in this case?
I use it. My page, anything I post about Summer is completely public, and I've seen posts of mine, whether it's after a search or just pictures of her. I put posts out every time there's a month-long anniversary, year-long, when it was her birthday, things like that, and it reaches thousands. So I've used social media a lot for this, and I see it as a huge help. I've connected with a lot of people, some great people, especially in that group that I was talking about. I've connected just because of social media that I would never have found, because they're not all from here. So I wouldn't have found a lot of these people if I didn't use social media. So I think it really pushes it forward. I think there are people that use it wrongfully, but there will be people that abuse anything and use it for wrong. I mean, as we see with the sheriff of Hawkins County wants to talk about using things the wrong way. He's using his power completely the wrong way to get his, SO son off of his charges. So while we're talking about social media being wrong, we could talk about anything, but I think that social media has helped in a lot of ways with the case.
See, Ronnie doesn't realize he's really not he thinks he's a big fish in a big pond, and he really isn't.
Nope.
He's really smaller than he realizes. But like you said, he's abused that power.
Mm-hmm.
He's power hungry. And he's just, my opinion, he's a joke. And I don't know the man personally. I'm talking about just as him being a cop, he's a joke.
Yep.
He fits right in with a corruption in this bloody county. Because that's all this is. Eeks. I'm going to hold it. I got to pin this one. I'm not replacing pins. I'll read it. Where's Summer? 1-800-TBI find Ronnie Lawson. Do you have Summer Moon Utah Wells? Is that why she can't be found? Do you think Ronnie's kid and Don might have known each other, considering their backgrounds?
I wouldn't be surprised, especially in an area like that, because of everybody knows everybody. I mean, there's that generational and small population, and you get people that have grown up with each other. I mean, if people go to school together, the people you go to school with, because it's your graduating class is small as can be. Everybody. I mean, I won't go as far to say that comment with Lawson having her. I think the answers still lie within those who live and have lived at 110, but I definitely think that there's a good chance his son knew. And I think there's that line of people having dirt on each other too, is a lot of people know each other there in that circle.
Beloved Ghost said, isn't Lawson up for re-election? No, nobody ran against him. Well, there was one person. I don't know if you knew this or not, Trevor, but I kind of broke a couple things you weren't supposed to do. I took a screenshot when it was time for the elections we just had. I put in a write-in candidate, and I really didn't care. I still don't. And the person I put in happens to have his own YouTube channel, and he's up in Canada. Because I was not going to vote for Ronnie Lawson. But no, Ronnie's not up for re-election anytime soon. Nobody runs against him. They're all afraid of him.
Yeah. Well, it seems that anybody with enough power to go up there he's got something on them, and he's got something on them, so he knows that unless a regular citizen that doesn't have any stand in this stood up, anybody with power there, any DA, any of those people would not be able to run.
And my neighbor's the one that's, I don't know if you call it associate pastor, assistant pastor. And Sigourney, him and I were talking. He's one told me that there was somebody in the sheriff's office that wanted to run against Ronnie, but he's afraid he'd lose his job. If he lost, he'd lose his job.
Yeah.
So if Ronnie doesn't want competition, that makes me think he's automatically just made it abundantly clear. You run loose, you lose your job.
Yeah.
That's why that's why I want York County Sheriff up here.
I'm telling you, he's the best.
Pardon me, I want to put this. The boy's got balls. He was not afraid to back off, make him possible.
Nope, he is. And like I said, I know him, and I know that he knows what he's doing. He's not afraid to do his job, what he should do, even if it's a big
No,
case like hers was. And I don't think Ronnie's ever been able to do that.
and I can't remember where I heard it, but I saw when county cops say they wished that this case would have landed in their laps because they've already had it solved.
I believe it. I believe that the top down, they would have completely went at it differently, and would have, especially with all that's gone on in it, would have put them away for many things.
I mean, the way that the filth in that house, that's child neglect. That just falls into child abuse, as far as I can tell. So I don't know. I don't know why CPS hasn't done anything yet.
I don't know why they didn't do anything a long time before that. I mean, I believe that Summer spent 5 years growing up in, not only with a family that didn't seem to care about her, but a family that didn't put any effort in, not only to her, but into the place they lived. And that clearly took a toll on her. I mean, as sad as it is what happened now, it's sad to look back also and see the cards she was dealt and what she had to go through is beyond me.
You know, when you and I started talking about doing this live, I went on Facebook and looking up pictures of Summer, and I don't think I've seen about one that she's smiling, and everybody already uses like I'm not doing that, but none of them she smiles in, not a one.
No,
that's just wrong.
There's a couple I have where she is, and I love those pictures. I mean, when I make any post about her, I use them because those are the ones that she seems happy. The other ones, she's dirty, looks bruised up, looks like she's just not happy. I mean, and that's sad because when you're that age, all you should do is be happy. I mean, your biggest concern should be that you're eating spaghetti instead of chicken nuggets for dinner. And I see that these concerns went a lot deeper than that in her house.
I mean, that little girl had I don't know how else call it, but a lousy life she had.
Mm-hmm.
Adult crappy parents.
It's a shame because she didn't choose to come in this world. They brought her in, and they had the responsibility to do better by her, and they didn't.
Because they didn't care. Candace got a track record out of Wisconsin for this, I presume.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you don't look up the Wisconsin, look at her up in Wisconsin. She's an abuser. There's no other way.
I don't know how many years ago it was, and I don't know which kid this was with, but Candace considered selling a kid that she was pregnant with, one of hers, a while back, to somebody in our area. Didn't go through with it, but
to me, people like that should not be allowed to have kids.
Nope.
They just don't deserve them. And I've
the
said,
way I always say it is, every child does. The thing I always say is every child deserves a parent, but not every parent deserves a child.
I was raised a different way, and I know some of these people are my age, or we were raised where kids don't, like you said, don't ask to come into this world. We, as parents, we bring them in. I've got 2 grandsons just walked out my door. I've got another one sitting in the hospital in Philadelphia that these guys know about. Parents, we're supposed to protect our kids. We're supposed to be able to trust law enforcement. Well, not in this case. You can't trust anybody. It's like all in one little group. They just don't care. There should be a neutering law.
It doesn't seem like they ever did either. I mean, we talk about that they don't care now. I don't think anybody there ever cared, and that's the saddest part because she spent 5 years around people that didn't care.
I've heard all along the boys don't want to go back home.
I hope they don't.
up to this week, the boys do not want to. And when I talked to Bertie, and he's want to confirm they're still in state custody, and they don't want to go back to their parents. What's wrong? That just tells us a lot right there to solve.
And if they do, I hope the DCS leader, whatever their position is called, the president has to step down, because that would be the worst dereliction of duty I could say I've seen by CPS, and they have many. I could count them on 5 hands and run out of fingers, but that would be the top of it all. Parents that have yet to be cleared in almost 17 months of their daughter missing, and you give them back their other kids? Absolutely not. They should never go back to the house.
Along with that, why haven't they filed charges? That's one question I'd love to know. Why the heck haven't they filed charges? They've had enough evidence.
I hope when they cut custody, which I mean I doubt, this is just a hope, but I hope when they officially when they get rid of their custody, that they do. But they've had all this time to file charges and nobody has.
Well, I've heard they got to go to court on the 28th, and they could actually end up terminating their parental rights if they wanted to. I've seen that done before.
Yeah, because they get 15 months as the idea. They always, sometimes they extend it, but they like to have a 15 months permanency plan. So you get 15 months when your kids are taken away to meet the set goals that the court gives you, and by the 15 months, they either want that kid to have a plan for where they go, whether it's going back or staying in state custody and moving on to adoption, but they want to have that done. And it's been that 15 months since the boys were taken. So hopefully this hearing is the last and their rights are terminated, or they give them up, either way.
But we both know that they won't give them up, so the state's going to have to take charge. And I wonder how well. I wonder if Ronnie's got something on DCS, and he's like he's got a little treasure chest on everybody.
Well, DCS helped investigate his son, so I think he's got something there.
Man, this corruption runs any deeper, we can all go swim and resurrect the Titanic from it.
Yeah.
And I love this area, but I tell you what, I can't stand the government. But that's what they want to call it. It's a joke. This is literally just, I don't even know what the words are. And your people are great, but the local government's a colossal joke. Got everybody's in everybody's hip pocket.
Yep. And it's just, and it's so backwards, the system. I mean, it's like you can, and I don't condone any kind of crime. I don't think any of us do, but you can commit a victimless crime, X, Y, and Z, and you go away for all this time, and you can hurt a child or hurt somebody and get way less. I mean, or not get any time. I know plenty of kids who are taken away from their parents, and their parents never see charges.
Oh, I can trump that one. If you want me to be honest, I can trump that one that quick. Back, don't hold me exact time frame because I was a little. No, hell, I was never that small. I was a baby, and my aunt had my 2 cousins, and I don't know the whole story. I don't even remember it anymore. But she lost custody, and my cousins came to live with my family. And they, to my knowledge, I don't think they ever cannot get her filed charges. I can't figure out why nobody's doing it. You've been involved in this one, I can tell, from pretty much the start. Did you meet the EquiSearch?
Yeah, I know the leaders of EquiSearch, actually.
Every time I saw Dave, I got the impression he was ready to tear somebody apart.
Dave's a passionate man.
Yeah.
He loves what he does, and he's great at it. I mean, I love that guy. I talk to him sometimes because he does a bunch of different cases, and he's out there, and he doesn't just put his hands and feet in this. He puts his heart into it no matter where they go. So that's why when they came out, I was very glad to see them on the case. Granted, there was nothing found, obviously, to the point of Summer being located, as we all know, but I wouldn't have wanted anybody else spearheading a search for them from my point of view.
And they've got to get permission to come up here and search, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, from Ronnie Lawson. I mean, you can't make it up.
You beat me to the punch. And Ronnie, and I know for a fact Ronnie's turned him down at least once, because I heard that come out of Dave's mouth or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That just shows Ronnie doesn't want anything done.
And that's the thing is these people, these leaders, and that's the big difference too in the two sheriffs we've been talking about here and over there. Is one, they see that they're county size. We talk about the big cities. You have more resources. You have more officers, more detectives, more technology. Some counties here don't even have. A lot of counties here don't have lie detector tests.
Hawkins don't.
Nope, Sullivan doesn't. When Megan Boswell was going through her proceedings and she tried to say she couldn't take one because she was pregnant, sheriff said, "We don't have those. We don't even have somebody to administer that. So that's a load of crap." And then she was put in jail. But county sheriffs here can realize that some things are bigger than them and some things are too big. They can handle the smaller cases, but some things you have to bring in bigger people, and you need to accept that. And you can accept volunteer search groups who are giving up their time to come look, or volunteer citizens that ask to come look, or higher agencies, TBI, FBI. It doesn't seem like Lawson wants any of that, and his head's way too big for his shoulders, and he needs to realize that. He needed to realize that a long time ago, but he hindered this case with his ego.
You've nailed it right on the head. It's an ego trip. That's what this is all about, an ego. Ronnie's ego is bigger than the planet. In reality, he's smaller than anything.
Mm-hmm. And it's catching up to him as he realizes. I obviously have not spoken to him about this, but I think he's realizing it's catching up because he's been able to hide this a lot. But with him being over Summers' case and now this coming out to the sun, I think it's starting to creep up on him. He's going to realize that this won't just go away like all of the other scandals that he's been behind in his county, but this won't.
Look at Carly Trent. I believe it was his brother found her, which I've always found kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all of a sudden, poof, my brother finds her. Okay. That one's always struck me weird. Ronnie's got more skeletons in his closet than he wants anybody to know.
And there's so many resources out there. There's so many agencies that would help. And that's the thing is, I think that's a big misconception with things that people such as TBI and FBI, because we see the movies and TV shows, especially with FBI, but they don't come in and take cases. They come in and assist. TBI is the same way. They're what we would call a helper agency.
Yep.
So when you ask for their help and allow their help, they can do so much for you. But then when you become an egotistical, whatever, I mean, we'll just call what it is, egotistical, whatever word you want to use for him, but doesn't allow them to come in and doesn't want their help, then you hinder your case because of your ego. They have so much help they can give beyond what you have. And that's the big difference in a lot of counties is smaller county sheriffs realize they can't handle this on their own. They're going to bring in help because the bigger picture is justice for this missing or deceased child, not you solving the case on your own to gain brownie points in a county that you run unopposed in for your elections.
You're right. And not to mention, as you said, they're TBI and FBI is only there to assist. Ronnie's still calling all the shots.
Yep.
That's the problem in a nutshell. And the detectives are under Ronnie's thumb, so I can guarantee he's pretty much micromanaging everything.
So he has to be, and everything goes through him. He's the boss.
Yeah.
So even if Pruitt or somebody else has something, he'll take it and he'll say everything needs to come through me. He'll take it, and some stuff he'll just throw away, put it under the desk, and TBI will never hear about it.
Exactly. That's why we need Ronnie Lawson gone. You need somebody that's got morals and honest and accountability. That's not afraid to blow this case off.
Nope. Not afraid to get their feet wet and not afraid to ask for help. They need to hold people's feet to the fire, and they need to ask for help and let other people help too. So that way there can be justice brought to Summer Wells, because that's the big picture here. People that are still on this case realize that. People that had other agendas and intentions with this are starting to fall out. But many other people, we see the real need here, and the real goal here is one thing. And he never has been able to realize that. And that's one big reason why this case sits where it's at. And he's got to go.
I think we all going to say the same thing. Ronnie's blocking more than he's helping.
Yep.
Yeah, Jim, he has. Trevor's got this kid, from what I can figure out. I'm usually fairly good judge of character. He's smart. He's staying on the public land so he can't get in trouble, or he gets permission to go on private property.
Yeah, I did one private property search with actually the Wells PI was there, but we got permission. I even met the homeowner. He was really nice. Told us about places not to worry about, like with animals and snakes and stuff. I mean, he told us we can go anywhere, but he kind of pointed us to different parts of the land. But on my own, if I go out there, or if I go out there with anybody, it's public search land, because Ronnie doesn't like private searchers. He just doesn't.
Ronnie doesn't like private searches. He doesn't like social media. He doesn't like any of us. That's bloody sure.
Yeah.
Because everybody's uncovering things he doesn't want uncovered.
And again, they're helping, and he doesn't like that, because he wants to solve all this stuff. If you find out that, if we bring up that, well, they have a connection here, or they did this, or they're saying this, we should look at this, then he's not solving it. We are, and he doesn't like that. Or solving it is probably not the right word. I'm not saying he has to solve the case, but finding these leads or clues, he didn't find them. He's upset with that, because he thinks he should be able to find every single clue, every single lead, and solve this all on his own.
The problem is he doesn't even try.
Nope.
Like I said, I hope Ronnie's watching this, because I really couldn't care less. It's just the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd say globally, and I won't even know how to figure out the numbers, but I'd say well over 250,000 people watching this case. Prove it's all wrong. Ronnie doesn't want to realize it is global. Or if he does, he doesn't care.
It's a lot bigger than he is. That's for sure.
I mean, like I said earlier, I don't know what you call it, kid gloves, whatever. They should have hauled Don and Candace in a long time ago and arrested them for that disaster of a house. Like you said, your sheriff did with Megan Boswell. He didn't play games. He just threw her butt in jail.
And he never let her have the chance to make statements like they have. They've been allowed to sit on YouTube and spout off about anything without having any charges. He would never have allowed that here. The second they get on there and started being stupid, he'd bring him in and say, all right, I'm bringing you in for this, this, and this. I mean, you could bring them in 1129 for abuse, neglect, and you could have many charges of neglect for many different things. Get them on 5 counts of neglect and suddenly they're in there for 1129 5 times. That's 5 years in jail.
And I know for a fact, when Don got arrested, he was on the YouTube Live. I was watching it. He was with talking to a guy out in California. He's been on the kids' channel, Benny Keys, but Ronnie doesn't want to stop. He doesn't want to hear about what's been said. It's easier for him to just, but we don't want to know about that. They're social media, so they have no input. When in reality, Don's more relaxed with them than anything else.
Mm-hmm. And that's where you're going to get the answers, is when he's sitting back there drunk off his hind end, sitting there chatting with somebody that he trusts, talking about whatever. That's when he's going to slip up. He's not going to slip up in the interrogation room when you have his feet to the fire in there. The one time Ronnie probably talked to him, he wasn't going to tell him anything. He'll slip up and say something. He'd give him the chance, but social media is all bad. Everything but Ronnie Lawson Enterprises is bad. If he made a social media, it'd be good. If it wasn't his, it'd be bad.
That's like we were talking about earlier. These criminals will talk to Joe Schmo off the street. And I know for a fact that talking about Don inside in Hawkins County Jail is, nope, that's a massive no, it's not allowed. The guards are not allowed to talk about him. Nobody is. It's almost like he's a little celebrity inside the county jail. So that makes it look like Ronnie's protecting him in there too.
Well, it's like what they said when you called up there, right? He said, what was the wording? It was due to high profile.
And that's why I always record some. Thank God Tennessee's a one-party recording state. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Because nobody would. If I had a call up there and just said what he said, that nobody. I wouldn't even believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, if Ronnie watches, that poor cop's going to be in trouble, boy, and that's not my problem. And I talked to Even the Rogersville City cops, they're all like, they're almost like they're under Ronnie's thumb.
Mm-hmm. It runs deep. It runs really
It
deep.
really does. That's the problem. And no, TBI is not. You file a charge thing with the FBI. That's kid. You're putting a target on your back. There's no way around to put it. You're going to put a target on your back, so you better be somewhat careful.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, do not give up.
No.
When you're in Hawkins County, make sure you abide by every speed law too.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I was saying to somebody. I said if I ever stopped near the jail, he'd come out and bust my tail light and then tell me how to tail that out.
Yep, I think you would. I mean, the one I call kid and we talked and we wouldn't put anything past Ronnie Lawson.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's seen where on Hollywood movies where the cops plant drugs on somebody. I believe Ronnie would do it in a heartbeat. I really do. I think he's that crooked. Really, Kimbo. Brandon was a deacon. Okay. What do you think? How long do you think this case is going to run if Ronnie stays in office? Do you think Ronnie's even going to resign?
I don't think he'll resign. I hope that charges are brought or an investigation unfolds and forces him to, or charges him, and of course then he'd be well out of his position. But he's way too egotistical to retire or to resign.
Well, you notified the FBI, so they're higher up than TBI is, so that's one positive thing.
And see, they can file. That's the thing is TBI can't file charges on its own. They can suggest charges to a DA, the DA that's in his left pocket, I guess, because we got others in the right. But FBI can file or do anything on their behalf a little differently than TBI. So hopefully, if they look into it and they find corruption, they'll go from there.
Yeah, because they'll bring it into a federal level, which is brings it right back. That brings it down to Greenville court, down to courts in Greenville, because that's the nearest federal court.
He'll be near his son. He can be near Granger and he can go see his son right before he speaks in front of a federal prosecutor.
Hey, federal prisons are a joke. I mean, Connecticut had a governor that went to federal pen, John Rowland.
Mm-hmm.
It was more like a day camp for him.
Well, if it gets him away from this case, he can go be babysat for however long. I don't care. He needs to get out of this case, though, so he can actually find justice for Summer.
Yeah, he does. Because I've seen too many things, too many different people on YouTube, and I know you don't have a YouTube channel, but I've seen on YouTube, I've seen on Facebook, because every morning I go on Facebook. There's more evidence out there, or I don't even know if that's the right word. Whatever the word is, there's more out there that Ronnie could use than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But he just wants to ignore it because it's on social media. And there was a cop on the case I can't remember where it was in the last year, so I read it, that he was literally thanking social media because they helped.
A lot of cases do. I've seen it. Police chiefs will come out and say, we thank everybody, including those on social media, who have kept this case going and have brought in tips and leads. That's not normal for them to be like, we don't want anybody talking about this case. But it is normal when you want it quiet.
Box, how deep do I think the corruption goes? Let's put it this way. As him and I were talking about a little while ago, we could raise the Titanic, and that's 2+ miles down in the ocean.
Yeah. It's deep.
It's starting to look like this corruption. When I started posting them articles from the different media outlets a few months ago about corruption, I don't think any of us realized how deep this corruption is actually going. I mean, this is just beyond the scope of an imagination. I mean, we know where Ronnie's been made a backdoor deal for his kid. What else is he covering up?
Yeah.
The FBI needs to come in here and start saying, guess what? We're taking everything now. We want to look and see what you're doing.
I'm saying, give it to Sullivan County. Just hand it one county over, and I
I wish
guarantee
they
you
would.
they'll be in jail.
I wish we could rezone Hawkins County, put Ben Hill. We'll sit right over to Sullivan.
They were so close to Sullivan too. I mean, it's within a mile. I mean, it's so close. And the Warriors Path, is in Kingsport. So I mean, half of where they were that day is Sullivan County. It's just, if it was just a little bit closer, I'm telling you, they would have completely had it gone differently.
I don't know how to. I want to ask a question. I don't even know how to word it. And it deals with both of our counties. Do you know if Ronnie's even tried to enlist the help of Sullivan County at all?
That I don't know. I know they've brought in assistants such as like divers and stuff from Sullivan County, but as far as investigatively, I'm not sure.
Because they were running all over Kingsport that June 15th.
Yeah.
I mean, they've proven that. The Birdies even told me there's a 6-hour time frame. And he honestly thought that, and he's the second one I've heard that said the same thing. Because let me back up. Last year when you guys were doing an original search, I went up to Walmart and bought stuff for the search team. I forgot what all they needed, snacks, water, and all that crap. And I was talking to somebody in Walmart and she, you know what her job was, same as the Birdies. And she was actually saying, we know who's responsible. We're trying to prove it's a problem. And I heard that again this week, and I didn't tell that boy, but I'm wondering now after the best of Ronnie Lawson, if it's because Ronnie Lawson's keeping stuff, burying stuff and hiding it. Cuman, Sullivan County, their sheriff ran Megan Boswell in jail so fast. I don't think she knew she could run that fast.
That's what I'm saying. She came out there and tried to lie on the camera, smiled once, and he said, "Oh, you're done. We're gonna get you in for what we can, and the rest will unfold when it does." And he was exactly right, because look who's sitting in there about to go to trial at some point, at least, for the murder of her child, and will be in there for life. Same person he put in for simple not reporting or false reporting charges. He knew, and he knew that it would unfold, and that's what they needed to do to Candace and Don. Put him in, and the rest will unfold.
I'm looking at your screen. Somebody asked a question.
How many searchers were there? And as far as the big searches, I wasn't part of those, but I know they brought in people from 40 plus agencies. But when we did our private property search, there were 6 of us.
I'll let you answer this one, Trevor.
Mishandled, I think where we put it, or tainted as in effect of Ronnie Lawson has as the leader of this investigation, which he has, everything runs through him and his county before it gets to anybody else. He's tried to hide his corruption, and I don't know if he's ever really had the desire to see this. He's wanted Summer to be, I think his hope is she'd be found close by. It would have been a case that she walked off. He could close it up as that. He solved the missing child's case and we moved on. But now that it's getting a lot deeper than that, and especially now that he's being brought into it, it really shows that he didn't want a case this big to have to come to his desk, because he sees 2 sides of it. He doesn't want anybody else to solve it, but he knows he can't. And so he's at a crossroads.
Innocent other angels, as we were talking about earlier, are here to assist. Ronnie's still calling all the shots. That's the problem.
Everything goes through him.
And there's not a thing that Ronnie's not controlling. That's until we can get him out of here. I hate to say it, but it's like pushing the boulder up a hill.
Yep.
We need somebody who's going to take and run this case objectively and follow every single lead down. I know Ronnie says and I've heard Leslie, whatever her name is, say things that social media tips have been, whatever the words are, I can't remember what you call it, but not all of them been that way. I mean, I'm sure some people say, "Oh, we saw such and such doing whatever," and it's all a crock of garbage. We need somebody in that office that's actually going to take this by the reins and say, "All right, now we're going to done playing games. Now we're going to find out what's going on and what happened."
Yep.
Because I've heard originally it was a 4-hour time frame, and that boy the other day told me it was 6 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know how much y'all know about driving, but average speed is about 65 miles an hour. You can cover a lot of ground in that time frame and do whatever you want when you get back.
Yep.
Especially if you jump the interstate, 65 is a joke. The speed limit in Virginia alone on 81 is 70.
Yep.
So there's a lot. That's like you said, you're coming at it from every angle, and I'm using my own background from driving truck. Well, toys, you call them trucks. There's so much geography that's actually encompassing this. It's not even fathomable. And then if, say, hypothetically, Grandis is behind it all. She took off last year and went up to Wisconsin. So now you've got a few more 1,000 miles, just a straight shot right up to Wisconsin.
And who knows what she did when she was there? Who knows where she
Exactly.
went once she got there? She says she went to Wisconsin. Who knows what state she stopped in, what states she traveled through? I mean, at this point, we're just playing guessing games with that. I mean, that's all we have. She could have been anywhere.
Yeah. She could have been once Texas for all we know.
I mean, she talked about a festival. The kind of things that you think of to do when your granddaughter is missing, when the child of your daughter, your only granddaughter in the family, the house the place you lived at, is missing, and you care about going back to Wisconsin because you want to see some stupid festival or whatever else she was going to do. Okay.
And I'm going to share something I don't share with I don't say very often. My oldest son, who's 32, was raped when he was literally about 1.5 years old. I was driving for JB Hunt Trucking back then. I was a trainee, so I was stuck doing whatever. When I got home, I was ready to rip. So my ex told me what happened. I was ready to tear half of Baltimore apart. Then I found out it was our 9-year-old neighbor. It's like, what do you do there? I took the kid out and never mind what else. I didn't touch him. And his parents found out, and they found out my wrath too. But how does his grandmother not? I know my grandfather would have moved heaven and earth trying to figure out what was going on. But how does whatever you want to call her? She doesn't want to do much of anything.
Nope.
I've got a neighbor. Her kid he's a drug addict, and she's raising her grandson. I'm watching one right now, and she does pretty much everything she can for that kid. I don't understand how I don't know. And Ronnie's got
I've worked with
Huh?
in my jobs since I've been in high school. I've worked in different settings, but I've worked with kids, and I've always thought about what if this happened to one of the kids I work with every day. And you get pretty close to these kids. I mean, I work with them every day at their school. I see them. They tell me everything that's going on. You know, these kids look up to you, and I see, like, if this happened to one of these kids, I would most definitely be moving whatever I could to find them. And I'm not even their. I mean, and I know I'm not the only one. I know plenty of people who just work with kids that would be moving into the earth to try to find these kids, and you have their own parents and grandparents just sitting back and letting it happen.
as long as they can get their dope. And you got a top cup, and then you got the top cup. I can't want to Don was. I want to Don know about Ronnie's kids charging and use that to hold over them.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if they knew they could get rid of her and not have to worry about fallback, not have to worry about ever having to face it.
Yeah, because if Don knew about Brendan's crap, he could hold that over Ronnie's head.
They could have done
And now,
anything with summer and known that it wouldn't be found.
and now Ronnie's got to deal with the fallout from that. Maybe you're right. Maybe this maybe this case is starting to have some cracks in it. Excuse me. We just need one crack to blow this case wide open.
One break, and that's all it'll take.
Maybe that break is getting rid of Ronnie Lawson. Exactly, Cindy.
Believe so.
What were you saying?
I said I truly believe so. I agree.
Because there's no reason why this case has been. The kid calls it a designed to go cold. I said from day one it's a cover up. And I really think it has been a best cold case cover up. Because look at who's that girl? I can't remember her name. I almost even know the case. It was about 3-4 years ago, maybe a little longer than that, but not by much. She was like 15 or 16 or something like that. And she ran away at his first name was Ben something or other. He was out of Georgia. They found her up in Virginia. I can't remember her name. But Ronnie didn't seem to be too bothered with that.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had one kid who murdered that retired school teacher out in Mooresburg. That made Discovery Network. Ronnie was all into that. He loved that. He got the limelight. And that, as long as he can get limelight, he'll do something.
Grows his head.
We're not the limelight he wants.
Nope. We're the limelight he's going to get.
Yep. Because between you, me, and a couple other people I can think of, sorry, dude, you're stuck like Chuck.
Yep. I know he's not going anywhere. I mean, until every single entity that can investigate every single signature can be found, he's not getting out of this.
That reminds me, I'm gonna see where we're at on that petition. Because I ain't kidding, I want this thing blown. It says at 2,500, this petition likely gets picked up by local news.
Yeah, they said every time it hits a certain point, the website sets a new goal, so people will still keep pushing it. Because once we hit like 1,000, it moved up there, and it moved up past, and now says to hit 2,500, and it'll go from there.
I sent it to my son up in Pennsylvania yesterday. Sometime this week I sent it to him. Because he stayed with me for a while, so he's familiar with this area, and I told him I should sign it. My knowledge, he did. And he's a cop in the Navy. He's a cop in the Navy and a firefighter in civilian life. Go figure that out. Because we've got to get everybody we can to sign this thing, get this thing blown worldwide. Because I don't know how often you come on YouTube, but wanting Ronnie gone it's not something new. It's actually everybody's been wanting it done for a while because Ronnie's been screwing this case up some way, some son. And he thinks he's something. It's his, like you said, it's his ego. This cat everybody likes. Her name is Gracie. She drools worse than a dog. She'd make a better cop than Ronnie Lawson.
That's for sure.
So what's your plans? What's your plans next that you're planning on doing?
Say it again.
What's your plans next on what you're planning on doing with this?
I'm continuing to reach out to news stations. I'm trying to find one that'll carry it. I know a lot stay away from some of that kind of stuff, but if I can find one, I know we'll get a lot more push on this. I'm gonna follow back up with, hopefully try to follow back up with the FBI, with Tennessee Attorney General. I mean, just anybody and everybody that is above Lawson that can look down into this, that will. I'm just gonna keep contacting, keep calling, keep looking.
I'm sending you a thing on Facebook. There it is. Because I think I got an idea, and I'm not going to put it on here. But I got a couple ideas running through my head. And kid, if you're still in here, look at your messenger later. Yeah. Because if I can, what I'm thinking we can pull off, we may have just opened up a can of worms. Cammy, Trevor's got the dedication. I showed up late for this dance.
Hey, any part of it's a big part of it. It takes us all.
Do you even know how my channel got started, by the way?
No.
If you don't, I'll tell you. You don't know?
No, I don't.
When this case first broke, we started watching Voices Behind the Wall. And my wife and I were up at the courthouse when Don had court, what was it, February or whatever. And a bunch of, and I'm sorry, everybody get mad, but Don and Candace's groupies were sitting up there. And some of them were on the phone with Candace talking about these puppies. And you'd have to go all the way down the bottom of the video thing to find his video.
Mm-hmm.
But I did not honestly know how to get it up to the kid. That's the one I call the kid. So I changed my wife my phone. I record these people. They were literally talking to Candace about getting, I don't remember, it was giving away or selling puppies.
Mm-hmm.
Your husband's in jail, your daughter's missing, and you're worried about puppies. Really? What is wrong in that picture besides everything? And that's how this whole thing, that's all this, I didn't know how to send it to her. And the only way I could think of was doing it through YouTube.
There you go.
And I started making parodies, and somewhere along the line, it all transformed into this. I don't even know how. And now I feel like a dog with a bone. I'm not giving up.
And it's crazy because Lawson knows, and he knows how many people, even that when you have the local media in your pocket in a small area like that, it helps even more because the Rogers Review is the biggest news paper, whatever you want to call it, their source of information for that area. And that's where all of his, I mean, look at their Hawkins County page. That's where like all of their articles come from. Notice how every single arrest that they make, when it's written up, it's shared on the Hawkins County page from the Rogersville Review, Jeff Bobo. And the same person that writes all of the articles for Ronnie Lawson, and that Ronnie Lawson called before telling anybody else about his son, a day before it broke, won't let people add articles on the paper. I submitted an opinion letter, and that's where all that junk started from. The email correspondence I sent you was because I submitted an opinion that would go on the opinion page that holds no weight to the paper or anybody else. It's an opinion about Ronnie Lawson. Everything in there was factual, but he said he's not running it because of how things are inaccurate. I was like, and I argued with him. I told him that it's naive to think that there could not be any corruption here and it shouldn't be investigated because all I was calling for is investigation. So that tells you all you need to know about who he's got there locally. A sellout. That's it right there. He knows. He gets it. Bobo knows what he's in there for, and he's going to stay in there for Ronnie.
Ronnie is so well insulated right now. It's not even funny. And I don't know if you caught. I think it was yesterday, the day before. When you sent me that stuff about the screenshots of the conversation with you and Jeff, my temper went up a tad. Because journalists are supposed to be neutral parties, unbiased, report the facts.
Yep.
Not in somebody's hip pocket like Bobo is. So Scott, he's not just a seller. He's not even a journalist. And Rogerville Review, I don't care how old it is, half the time the news they put in is already at least a week old.
Yeah.
I mean, the Times Union or Citizen Tribune out of Morristown's way ahead of them. And the Tribune's not even a big paper. And the Review just follows it. It's like when I put in a video, it's like, you're too young to even know what I'm talking about. More likely, it's the Andrew Griffith show. The Review's like a paper from Mayberry. They cover little local stuff.
Yeah.
And they've got a chance to actually get a groundbreaking story. And yep, no, we can't do anything with that. That's just obtuse.
I just wonder how long it'll take. Don's going to be back in. He'll be back in for something that he can't hide from. He'll get out and run back on his illegal substance run. He'll get into anything and everything that he shouldn't, and he'll be right back in.
That's what the birdie told me. So he said, yep, Ron Donnie will be back in there.
Oh, without kids, it'll be 10 times faster. He at least
Oh,
has
yeah.
some reason to weigh off because he knew that there were people that'd be watching because of CPS and everything. Without his boys, he's going to be off the chains with that.
And I was just saying something. Give me a second. I can't remember what it was. It was right along the same lines. Oh, Don doesn't even have a job. So he's going to be all over YouTube and running his flap. Going to make money off that so he can get his booze runs. So it won't take long before he's back in there.
Oh, yeah.
My question then is, how long is he going to get for a sentence then? Because in this county alone, that'd be a second DUI.
Mm-hmm.
Want to take bets saying when they'll get a slap on the wrist again?
Oh, yeah. Well, Matt, I appreciate this live, and it's been really great. I appreciate everybody watching, everybody signing. I appreciate all you're doing. I've got a couple things I got to run and take care of in a minute, but I've really enjoyed this.
I've enjoyed it. Check your Facebook, by the way, kiddo. Because we need to do whatever we can to get this case broke open.
Absolutely. Well, I'll definitely be in touch with you, and I look forward to keeping this alive and pushing this forward. But I appreciate you and everybody on here, and we'll definitely be in touch, all right?
All right. You have a great day. Well, there were some bombs dropped. Yeah, Alan, everything does go through lawless. I like that one. We've got to figure out a way to put a chink in the Peroni's armor. And maybe his son might have been the first crack in it. Because you heard it from Trevor, everything's going through Ronnie. Every single shred of evidence goes through Ronnie. So how much is getting buried? That's a question that we've all got to wonder. But I'm going to close this up. It's 6 o'clock my time. And it's been almost 2 hours. So, that's looking. I'm going to jump off here. Smiley, I didn't do anything. But at the same time, I don't have any intention of giving up. Nothing would surprise me. And I don't know who Cliff Evans is. Scott, look me up on Facebook. I think I've got to see him do that. I'm not sure. Y'all welcome me. No, I've not done a thing. I just reached out to this kid because I remembered he was on duty around, and I can remember his name from the reward fund, which you heard. That's still being stalled out. You'd have to rewind and go back to the beginning. We're talking about that. So y'all can figure out how deep this corruption goes. The Titanic's 2+ miles down in the ocean. I think the crushing runs deeper than the Titanic sitting. You're welcome, Box. But this corruption is going way deeper than what any of us thought. And he's notified the FBI. He's going to send me the info because I'm going to send him a few things. And now there ain't going to be no rumor mills because it's verified through actual news organizations. Maybe they'll start looking into this mess. So. And I sent my emails on the, somewhere in the About Me thing. Send me an email on that about Cliff Evans. Just put Cliff Evans in the subject. All right, y'all have a great day. The rest of the day. I will catch you on the flip flop. As the rubber duck said, we're going bye-bye.